Final Fantasy VII, the remake, the battle system, the multiple story, episodic, whatever the fuck you want to call it, release. Yeah, let's talk about this. So, you know, the Final Fantasy VII Remake trailer came out, I'm sitting there watching it, and I was actually excited. Of course, then I go down to the comments, and everyone is bitching. Yeah, that's right, I said bitching, not voicing their thoughts and concerns about the battle system not being turn-based. Now, ironically, when Final Fantasy XV's demo/trailer came out, and it was found out that that is action-oriented as well, once again, the ever ignorant and arrogant Final Fantasy fanboys and fangirls blew their fucking minds and was like, oh, it's not fucking turn-based. It's not a Final Fantasy game. It's going to be a piece of shit just like Final Fantasy XIII. It's going to be a piece of shit just like Final Fantasy XII. Blah, 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 because we think we know what the fuck a Final Fantasy game is. That's pretty much all I heard. Bitching, bitching, moaning, moaning, bitching, bitching, moaning, moaning at the end of the day over a battle system. I mean, as a gamer, I believe that there are some things that, yes, you should voice your thoughts and concerns about, but a battle system in a fucking game? I mean, come on, and now you're just, you're getting a little too privileged there, alright? You've reached a level of arrogance and ignorance that, you know, exceeds fanboy and fangirlism to complete stupidity within of itself, alright? You're basically iterating to the greater gratification, and I even had one person who iterated, like for Final Fantasy XV's battle system, is that the turn-based battle system is a staple of the Final Fantasy game. But Square Enix, or Squaresoft, neither of them at any point in time said that the turn-based battle system was a staple, a signature of Final Fantasy. You can only blame yourself for being that ignorant in assuming that very ideology. So yes, when it comes to the battle system, gamers that are complaining about it are doing exactly that. They're complaining, they're bitching, they're not voicing their thoughts and concerns, because at the end of the day it's something mediocre within of itself. I mean, shut the fuck up and actually voice your thoughts and concerns about the microtransactional DLC. Who gives a flying fuck if they want to change the battle system in a remake or in their series within of itself? That doesn't really affect you in any way, shape, or form. That doesn't affect gamers as a whole. But DLC microtransactions, those do, alright? So just shut your bitching up and get on point. Now let's move on to this whole episodic Final Fantasy Final Fantasy VII Remake being episodic, multi-release. Well, first and foremost, when I think of episodic, I think of the boring-ass Telltale Games. We'll see how many dislikes I get for that one. That Telltale Games produces. Me, the reason why I don't like Telltale Games is because I don't think they belong on consoles. That's a computer-based... in fact, I play point-and-click adventures, which is exactly what Telltale Games creates. They create point-and-click adventures on the computer. In my opinion, they work better on the computer. The whole control, it's fucking stupid. I mean, it's really fucking stupid. I mean, you're sitting there and you're playing a game. Let's not even get into this because it's not a rant about fucking Telltale Games, alright? I'm just getting sidetracked and irritated. But anyway, that's what episodic means. Telltale Games, alright? You're looking at $5 for anywhere from, 1, 2, 3, 4 hours of gameplay per episode. I don't really think that's where Final Fantasy VII is going. In fact, from the information that I've read from various articles, it seemed like it's going to go along the lines of Final Fantasy XIII with different, well, not necessarily different stories, maybe a continuation of the story. I've also heard other hypothesis that it's going to be similar to the Dot Hack series, where you will actually be able to carry over your levels, your weapons, and stuff like that to the next game, alright? So on and such forth. Now, regardless of what they end up doing, whether it ends up being something like Final Fantasy XIII or whether it is more similar to the Dot Hack series, I call bullshit on it. Here's why I call bullshit on it. The main excuse and reasoning for doing this is because, well, Apparently, if they recreated the game in its entirety, it would not fit. It would not fit. It'd be too big. It'd be too big. Now, first off, there's a bit of a fucking problem with that, alright? You travel back in time, PlayStation. How many games were too big to fit on a single disc? Quite a few of them. A lot of them RPGs. But yes, there were a few non-RPG games that did have multiple discs within of itself. You can even jump to the PlayStation 2 era. Yes, there are a few games that are more than one disc in order to play the game. And then you jump to the 360 PS3 era, not necessarily the PS3, but the 360 had like Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey, which were 4-disc based games, alright? So this very ideology that they wouldn't fit on one disc is quite ridiculous within of itself, because even if it wouldn't, why not just do what you did before? More than one disc. Now, iteratively, there are some people that are accepting of this. They're accepting of the idea of release it like Final Fantasy XIII, which is kind of ironic, seeing as how the majority of the people that are saying that probably didn't even like Final Fantasy XIII within of itself. But yet they still want them to release Final Fantasy VII, the remake, similar to that of Final Fantasy XIII or even the Dot Hack series. Which is kind of ironic, because you sit here and you look at Final Fantasy XIII within of itself, and every freaking Final Fantasy person that did not like that game was like, they're milking it, it's stupid, they're just, you know, they're milking the shit out of it. You know, they're spending too much time on it. And yet here we go, a remake of a highly anticipated game, a highly anticipated remake at that, and people are accepting of the very idea of releasing Final Fantasy VII, the remake, just like Final Fantasy XIII. And yet, the same people that are agreeing to that very ideology are the same ones that were bitching and complaining that they were milking the Final Fantasy XIII series within of itself. I mean, how much of a fanboy do you have to be to sit there and be like, oh, this is wrong, but you know what? This game that I really like, it's totally acceptable. It just goes to show you that the very core values of modern day gamers and gamers that grew up in our generation and even generations before my generation playing video games, it just shows you how far they have fallen from traditional gaming and what it should be. I mean, you cannot sit here and tell me that Square Enix cannot remake that game in the current graphics that we saw in the trailer and have it fit on one game. Even if it couldn't fit on one game, they could still release it as a multi-disc release. And I don't mean like, here's game 1, here's game 2, here's game 3, 2000 whatever. I'm talking release one chunk sum. Another excuse that they ultimately use is that it would take too much time. And then this is where the hypocrisy of gamers come in yet again, ladies and gentlemen. We see gamers out there bitching when a video game is clearly rushed and it turns out to be a pile of horse shit. And they're going to stand and they're going to speak up against it. But yet, here comes Final Fantasy VII, the remake, and literally the developer has stated to the iteration that, hey, you know what? We want to get this out as quickly as possible. Meaning they want to rush this shit. And gamers are like, oh yeah, that's understandable. I can accept that. Are you fucking serious? The same gamers that bitch about a shit ton of other games that were obviously rushed and turned out to be a pile of shit, now a game comes along that they've been waiting for, that they've been anticipating. The developer literally states, we don't have the time to do this, so we're just going to do it this way. It's going to be faster. We're going to be able to release it faster. And they're like, well, sure, yeah, go for it. Nothing could go wrong from that. I mean, nothing at all. It's not like there isn't a list of games that were rushed and turned out to be a pile of fucking shit. Do you see the hypocrisy of gamers? The divide within gamers, especially when it comes to people that like something so much that they don't use simple rational thinking. Because in my iteration, the very idea of this bullshit excuse that it's not going to be able to fit on one disc is bullshit. Even if it couldn't fit on one disc, they could still release it on multiple discs. We've seen companies do this within of itself. And as opposed to the whole, well, it would take time, it would be a while till it's released. How long have people been waiting for Final Fantasy 15? Quite some time. You're going to sit here and you're going to tell me, as a gamer, you would rather them rush a product than to take their time and make sure that it's a quality game that you get your money's worth for? But no, go ahead. Rush the shit. I'm okay with that because you're a stupid motherfucker at the end of the day who bitches about other games that were rushed and turned out to be a pile of shit, but along and behold, somehow Final Fantasy VII the Remake gets a motherfucking pass. Anyway, that's my take on it, ladies and gentlemen. Personally, I think the whole ideology is bullshit. It's bullshit on developer side. There's a ton of dumbass gamers out there making the most useless, pointless excuses for this kind of bullshit. And at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with honestly making a remake that gamers will enjoy. It has everything to do with Square Enix trying to milk something that they know is going to make them money. And if they can milk it on multiple releases, they know there are going to be dumbasses like you that will buy every fucking one of them. Just like there are ones that bought every fucking one of Final Fantasy 13 and yet somehow they still don't like it. Anyway, I'm Gamer Rant. And remember, gamers, if you're not voicing your thoughts and concerns about the hypocrisy of dumbass motherfucking gamers and the bullshit excuses game developers use, then you just might be a part of the motherfucking problem.